Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name's Ray, and I'm just about to start my third year doing physics here at Cambridge. And in this video, I sort of want to talk about problem solving and why you should be improving your problem solving skills, and sort of talk about my own journey and how I went about it and how I think you should be going about it as well. So this video is going to be pretty long and rambly, but feel free to skip to any of the timestamps below. So anyways, I want to talk about what I mean by problem solving and what I mean by improving your problem solving skills. So problem solving in my eyes is thinking about a solution to an unfamiliar problem using knowledge that you already have. And this is a case for a lot of math problems and a lot of science problems, in the sense that you have learned the content and now you just see an unfamiliar problem and you're sort of bridging the gap between getting that piece of content and applying it to this particular problem. And the harder it is to do that for this particular problem, the harder the problem becomes. Because in many cases for extremely difficult problems, whilst you may have all the knowledge, it's just a case of how do you actually apply this knowledge to this problem. So some particularly easy problems where it's just recalling a definition, that doesn't require much problem solving, it's just like memorization. And for much of GCSE and A-level courses, a large component of it is related to memorization. And there is only a little amount of problem solving, in the sense that you may get taught how to do a calculation or some method, and then it's just a case of repeating that method but with slightly different numbers or something, which isn't really problem solving. But that's usually the idea I have when I think of problem solving. And then critical thinking is more to do with like the humanities, where you're critically analyzing a piece of text or something. And problem solving for me is more to do with science and maths-based subjects. So that's sort of the idea I have in my head when I'm problem solving. And you should get a better idea of what it means to you when you're tackling really difficult problems as well, as I will go into that later in the video. So there are a few reasons for why I think it's worth getting really good at problem solving and why you should start actively trying to improve your problem solving skills sooner. The first of it, which is to do with universities. So improving your problem solving skills really does add to your university applications and increases your chance of getting into a better university as well. This is particularly true if you're applying for, say, Oxford or Cambridge for like maths or science related subjects. Because when you write about it on, say, your personal statement, then it's clear that like you've actually tried to improve your problem solving skills when you write about competitions and stuff. Or when you sit that admissions test, or even at interviews, they're going to be presenting unfamiliar problems to you, and then you're going to have to be working through it. And if you have constantly been working through difficult problems before, then you're going to find the problems that they give in, say, interview or admissions test much easier as a result. And you will be able to much better work off any prompts they give. So in interviews, they usually end up giving you prompts because you're not meant to know how to get started with the problem immediately. Or they may give you hints and suggestions when you get stuck and see how well you respond to those hints and suggestions. And if you've been actively improving your problem solving skills before and like potentially working with friends as well, then you're much better able to take on those hints and suggestions to like get to a solution. So adding onto your university application is really beneficial, especially if you've done well in some competition or something, or you've achieved like a silver or gold medal or like a certain rank or score. That really does help in your personal statement, and like universities really love that stuff. And you don't even have to do exceptionally well. Like many of my friends, they are still here at Cambridge and they got like a bronze or a silver. You don't have to like have gotten a gold or always get top 10 or in the country or something like that. Like just showing that you've actually tried to improve these skills is really beneficial itself. And some of my other friends, they just didn't take part in any competitions, so the competitions weren't really available to them, and it was completely fine for them as well, so don't worry too much about it. But I am saying that if you have the opportunity to take part in these competitions, or like asking your teachers whether they can enter you in for these competitions, which I will mention later in the video, that's a fantastic opportunity to write about in your personal statement or when applying to universities. Also, in terms of university itself, it makes university much easier as a result, because in university you're going to be, especially for science and maths-based courses, you're going to be tackling many unfamiliar problems during the exams and like problem sheets, which are meant to help you improve those skills. And the better you have been before at like just tackling unfamiliar problems, the easier like just doing the supervision work or class work, or work for lectures or just the exams will be, because you've actively been improving those skills before. And that frees up so much more time to be able to do, say, other things like hanging out with friends and whatnot, or just like whatever the hell you're interested in. So it basically means that you need to spend much less time to achieve, like, say, the same grade or the same mark as someone else who hasn't really been improving their problem solving skills much before university. And I found that to definitely be the case in the sense that some of my friends who were just really good at problem solving before university, they like have to revise less hours than me to like achieve the same grade or like even better of a grade. So the second reason for why I think it's worth improving these skills is because it's just fun. So like I mean, it sounds pretty silly to say this, because like for say maths or something, if you don't feel like you're being pushed in your math lessons, or you just find yourself bored during the lessons, or just like not ever seeing an interesting problem or something, it can be really difficult to imagine like having fun just solving problems. And when you start doing these problems, or like just if you're so used to getting much of the content in, say, your maths lessons right, or like homework, then when you see one of these new problems, it may seem like very uncomfortable at first because you have no idea how to solve it, and it can just be easy to pretend like, oh, these problems just don't exist, or like just avoiding these problems, which is like not what you want to be doing, because when you just get started with a few of these problems, and like problems which are just outside your comfort zone, so you feel like you're just able to do them, when something clicks in your head, or you finally manage to solve the problem after like many like an hour or two of trying, or like potentially even longer, or many days about thinking about a problem off and on, like you feel a huge sense of satisfaction, and it feels so much more fun, or you come across with surprising results. So like what your intuition tells you about a particular problem is like completely different from what the maths ends up telling you, which is like something really fun and worth thinking about as well. And also because it's super satisfying when something clicks in your head, or like you've been struggling with a problem for so long, and then you just like get up and, I don't know, go take a walk, or like go eat dinner, and then you come back to the problem, and then like something just clicked in your head, and then you're suddenly able to now do the problem, and or like you had no idea how to start, and then during a walk or something, or just doing any other activity, you end up getting an idea in your head, and then you just feel an urge to like rush back to the problem and just see if like this new idea that you came up with works. And for me personally, I found that process to be really fun and like just really valuable. And the more times it happened, the better I could tell I was getting at problem solving itself. And the final reason for why you should bother is because you can get some really healthy competition. And it can seem difficult to, like, especially if you're, say, one of the best students in your maths or science classes or something, it can be especially difficult to get that level of competition, because maybe other people in the class just don't care too much, or they don't care as much as you, or they're just not as interested in the subject, or like for various reasons. But there are people like in hundreds of schools across the country who are just so much better, who are just so much better than you at those skills. And then you have nationwide competitions, so like the British Mathematical Olympiad or the British Physics Olympiad, where like students across many different schools who are all really good at problem solving, like have friendly competition with each other and compete for, like, say, getting into the following rounds or getting medals, or even in many cases, if you get to the following round, then you may be potentially invited to some camps like the UKMT runs, or some like training programs, where they like train you to be even better problem solvers, or some other programs where they select who gets to represent the UK or whichever country you're from in their international physics, maths, biology, chemistry, whatever Olympiads teams, where there are literally hundreds of students from all around the world, like teams in between 4 to 6 from every country, and they just all come together in one place or one country for that year. And then like they have a bunch of excursions around the city and town. They get to meet so many other like-minded individuals, who are also really good at that particular subject, and they basically get to have a great time talking about this subject. And they also get to sit some exams to see how they rank compared to these other students worldwide, which is like crazy to think about. And I've had friends who like got to this stage where they've made it onto like the UK's team for like the physics Olympiad or the maths Olympiad or the chemistry Olympiad, and they just said they really enjoyed like the whole journey or the whole process of like just getting better and better and getting these new medals, or like seeing their skills improving, and like 1 year they didn't qualify for the team, the following year they did qualify, or like 1 year when they sat the competition they just didn't do well whatsoever, but they didn't let that get to them, and they like prepared over the course of the year, and next year they just did it even better. So whilst I didn't make it that far, I think the furthest I've made was getting about top 200 in the British Physics Olympiad. So whilst I didn't make it to any like training camps or selection programs, it was still a lot of fun in my school to just like meet a bunch of, or well, have friendly competition with friends who also really want to improve their problem solving skills. Or even in one case, I was invited to a follow-up round from the British Physics Olympiad. So I think everyone who got a gold medal was invited to the British Astrophysics and Astronomy Olympiad, which was a whole lot of fun as well, and I ended up getting a silver medal there. But I didn't qualify any further from there. Or that I was also invited to a camp in Oxford, which unfortunately I was not able to attend for the summer after year 12, where a bunch of year 12 students who did well in like physics challenges, like they were just invited to go there. But I wasn't able to attend due to some summer schools and stuff. But like this is a whole culture, and there are so many people who are interested and like want to go to these camps and like meet other people and do well enough in these competitions to be invited to these camps, that like I wish if I knew that sooner and this just culture existed out there, then I would like have worked so much harder to improve my problem solving skills and potentially make some fantastic friends, or like have just had great memories at these camps, or even enjoying the process of trying to represent the UK on the, say, British Physics Olympiad team or something. Although I would say that during this process it is worth bearing in mind that some problems will be easier for some than others, and it all depends on your experience. So if you meet a lot of other people who are on a similar level, or even if not better level of problem solving than you, and they just see a problem and they're able to solve it much faster than you, it's more of a case of that they've seen something similar before, or they've done something similar before, which like sort of reduces this mental like barrier almost, or mental wall, for them to be able to solve that problem. So don't feel too bad. It's more of a case of experience. Like they may just have experience with a more diverse set of problems than you, and it just means that instead of like feeling jealous or feeling like just feeling any negative emotion, it's worth just asking them if they're able to solve a problem much faster than you. Like, how were you able to do this? Like, what about the problem led you to like think about this particular solution or way? And just learning from them is so much more beneficial because it helps you improve, and then like it helps them improve a little bit, and they get to like enjoy explaining a subject they really like. So I would say that as a brief caveat for anyone who ends up making it onto these camps or meeting other people who are like at these camps or gets invited to them. So I'll briefly speak about my own journey or experiences in problem solving. And I think my first exposure to like just difficult problems which I wasn't able to solve so readily were in the UKMT challenges. So we had the junior challenge in year 7, which I sat, and then I didn't sit any other challenges until like year 10, which was the intermediate challenge. And I didn't even realize what they were. So I just sort of showed up to lesson one day, and then the teacher was like, oh, hey, we're doing this thing. Like, if you want to do it, then like, yeah, go ahead. And I didn't realize what it was, or I didn't realize the value in it, or I just thought it was like some random thing that no one ever did, and they were just sort of wasting our time with. And there weren't any follow-up rounds, and there weren't any prizes that you could receive. And I really wish I knew that was the case sooner, and that like if I did well enough on this, then I could be invited to follow-up rounds, and then potentially be invited onto like these camps for people who are really into maths and are really quite good at maths as well. I just disregarded and I just completely ignored like that one day where we were just given a bunch of fun problems to do on a sheet. Or well, they didn't seem fun at the time because they were so unlike any other problems I had seen before, and they felt more frustrating because I just couldn't get them, or they didn't click so quickly as some of the maths content that we had been actually covering as part of our GCSE or lessons. So basically in year 10 and year 11, I learnt pretty much nothing new during my maths lessons, and we had like 5 hours of maths lessons a week, and I just sat there doing nothing for most of the time. Because my maths teacher was just like, oh, you're good enough, like, you're just going to get grade 9 anyway, so why does it matter? And he sort of said that from the beginning of year 10, and wasting 5 hours of maths lessons a week for 2 whole years is like is pretty bad. And I could have spent those lessons like actually trying to improve my problem solving skills, but I just didn't. And I didn't realize I had to do this, or well, that this is like a thing that people used to do if they're just bored in maths lessons or like bored in their science lessons. They just try to get better at problem solving. I didn't realize that was a thing that people did until I got to sixth form. And then one time when I went back to my school for my secondary school, and I asked my maths teacher about this, he said that he never really told students to do this, or the maths department in my school never told students to improve their skills, or they just never like gave more challenging questions to students because they they were too focused on the pass rate of the school, which is like kind of understandable. Um, and yeah, they just said they didn't have the time, even though I think that's like a kind of excuse because you just sort of have to tell them like one lesson for about 10 minutes, like, hey, it looks like you're pretty bored, this is a thing that exists, why don't you get involved? um, and that's when I realized that in life most of the systems aren't meant to push you, or like they're designed for the average person. So the system in my maths department at my school was designed for the average student who just wanted to like get a pass GCSE maths, and they just completely disregarded or ignored the students who was like going to get a phenomenal grade anyway. Um, Whereas in other schools around the country, um, many teachers aren't like this, or because they're not concerned with the pass rate too much, because say it's a grammar school or a selective school, the teachers have more time to devote to like this more fun problem solving related maths. Um, so then people at normal schools just end up falling behind those people, because they don't have anyone to push them further. Anyways, I didn't realize how much I would enjoy problem solving until I think it came to my GCSE exams at the end of year 11. And I remember there being one question on like one of the papers where there were three circles inside a rectangle, and it gave the radii of the circles, and then it asked you to calculate the area of the rectangle. And I remember just staring at the problem, very confused, for like 2 or 3 minutes. And then literally something just clicked in my head, and I realized I could sort of draw a triangle and draw a few things, and then like calculate the length of the triangle, and then also and the length of the rectangle, and then calculate the area of the rectangle overall. And I came out of the exam feeling so pleased at finally having to got this thing, which I thought I would never get. And then even more pleased at the fact that I don't think anyone else in my school got that question right. And when I like showed this like genius solution to them, like people really enjoyed that fact, and I enjoyed sharing the solution. And even though like they didn't get it right, they enjoyed like listening about the solution. And the same goes for when other people end up getting something right that I didn't get right. When they show me the solution, I get like a certain kick out of it. So I really love that moment. So that then going into year 12, I sort of knew that I should be improving my problem solving skills. So I did like a little, like doing 2 or 3 challenging problems a week. Um, Although I don't think the problems were too challenging, or I didn't push myself hard enough with those problems, or I was sort of doing lighter problems. Um, so I knew I sort of should have been doing this thing, but I didn't know to what extent, or what extent people were doing this until about the end of year 12, when I went to a summer school at Eton College, which was for state school pupils. And I met a student who was at the summer school, and he like got the 7th highest score in the country for the British Maths Olympiad that year, but he didn't make it on to represent the UK at the International Maths Olympiad. And instead he was at the summer school, so I asked him like, I remember asking him why he's here, and then he just said like, oh, because I didn't make it to the IMO team, and IMO being International Maths Olympiad. And if he made it onto IMO team, then he would be like in another country instead. And this was sort of his like second choice for him, which was like very surprising to me. But I didn't realize how much people push themselves, and how much to what extent they just did tons of challenging problems to really improve their skills, until like I saw him in the library just doing like some crazy difficult problems from like the IMO shortlist. And he would do like many challenging problems a day, especially like during the summer and during holidays when he would get so much more time. And then I realized at that moment that I should be pushing myself so much further. So then, after that, about for August and September and October, um, after year 12 and into year 13, when I was applying for universities in October, I made a really active effort to continue to improve my problem solving skills to the extent like he was sort of doing it and doing like many challenging physics and math related problems a day, which helped me do really well on my admissions test and also like helped me to do well enough on the interview and get an offer. And then it also helps me to do well enough on the British Physics Olympiad that I got within like the top 200 scores for that year. Um, and that was just 2 or 3 months of work, um, like taking problem solving a little more seriously. I was also on a bunch of summer schools that summer, so I didn't have time to do it all day, but I made an effort to do like 2 to 3 hours a day, and that was hugely beneficial in the long run. And across 3 months, I sometimes wondered to myself if I had done like an hour a day, like for the last year or so, I would have been so much better. Or if I even did like an hour or two a day for like 2 or 3 years, or if I started in say like the start of year 9, that I realized I should be improve my skills. Like how much better would I have been now had I realized this so much sooner? And this is a question that just sort of comes to mind. Like, would I have made it onto the like IMO team if I had started sooner, or like realized I should have started sooner? Because the thing is, a lot of the people who do make it onto a team, they do start earlier than other people, or like if they start later, then they put in more hours than the other people as well. Because I imagine it being like a race or a marathon, and everyone has different starting times. Um, and if you start later, then if you want to catch up to other people, then you're gonna have to run much faster. Um, if you're getting the same rate as them, then like they're just going to reach a finish line before you because they started sooner. So I sort of imagine this in my head. So the whole point of me telling you this is that I would encourage you to start developing your problem solving skills as soon as possible. If you want to apply for anything STEM related at university, like maths, physics, chemistry, engineering, any science subject, computer science, like if you want to apply for something anything mathematically related, then it's really worth improving your problem solving skills no matter what stage you are at now. Whether that's like you've just started year 12 or you just started year 11 or like even sooner, just doing say 30 minutes to an hour a day right now of like pushing yourself with an extra problem which you find really difficult can be hugely beneficial. And if you're really enjoying the process, then you can step up to like 2 or 3 hours a day, or like just I don't know, meet friends and discuss the problems on these online communities or these Discord servers, or the student room, or the auto problem solving, which has some really great forums where people discuss these challenging problems. And just sort of joining or immersing yourself in the community surrounding it can be like so much fun, and not feeling any jealousy within the community. And because if you join like a few problem solving related Discord servers, which you end up finding online or through the auto problem solving, and you make a bunch of friends who are really into improving their skills as much as you are, then like you can, I don't know, play games together online and you can discuss a lot of problems. And like if you find one which is particularly satisfying or interesting, then you can like show it to them and they can show you something similar. And like if you're struggling with the one they showed you, then you can ask them for a small hint. And like just this sort of community or feedback or is just super enjoyable for me, and I found that to be super enjoyable even though my limited experience with it. And I wish I had like got stuck into this so much sooner as well, because it would have been really beneficial for me. And I would say that no matter how young you are, you should just start, and rather than waiting around being like oh, I'll start when I'm in year 12 or something, or you start at the end of year 12, so it's completely fine if I start until then. Like, no, it's just beneficial to start this sooner, and you just enjoy the process so much more, or you get to like appreciate the journey and meet so many more interesting people along the way. Just so much more. And don't be afraid to sort of like take on competitions which may seem outside your league initially, or like outside your, I don't know, comfort zone. Like many competitions, the British Physics Olympiad or the British Chemistry Olympiad round 1 usually are set by year 13 students. I remember studying it in year 12. I didn't get anything in the British Chemistry Olympiad, like my score was just terrible. And then the following year, I had sat it, and I ended up getting like a silver medal instead, being like a mark or two off a gold medal, which was like really fantastic because it just sort of showed how much I had grown or come along. And like the earlier you are, like if you're in year 9 or year 10, then you have so many opportunities to take these competitions year on year because they usually happen about once every year, which means that you really get a fantastic feeling of knowing how much you've improved year on year, and you get to like talk about the competition or compete with some friends online, and just basically do a lot of great stuff. So don't be afraid of, say, if you're in year 9 or year 10 and you want to the senior maths challenge, which is usually for set by year 12 and year 13 students. Like many year 10 and year 9 people like just do better than most year 12s and year 13 students. So like it's completely fine to ask your teachers to enter you into competitions which may be outside your league for that year. And they may not be, because you may just surprise yourself with how good you actually are. And so even if you just start at year 11 or year 12, there's so much progress that you can make in just improving these skills. And like even if you're not applying for, say, anything STEM related, or you're applying for medicine, then just like being able to approach unfamiliar problems is just a skill which is like really transferable to so many parts of life. When it comes to like actual problems for applying for universities or these competitions, or like the UCAT or the BMAT or any admissions tests, it's just a super transferable skill there. And just when it comes to solving problems in your own life, because in many of the problems that you face in your own life, like usually you do have the knowledge and information and you know what you should be, you kind of do have this in your head buried deep inside somewhere, and then it's just a case of like getting that out or speaking to the right people and sort of like solving problems together in your own life. So whilst I don't actively improve my problem solving skills much these days at university, I found that skills, or well, I just don't get as much of a joy in solving like unfamiliar physics problems as I used to. I get so much more of a joy in like solving problems in my own life and helping friends solve their problems and sort of discussing it with them and just solving a different level of problems basically. And I find that to be super valuable now, and I feel like having developed my problem solving skills in physics somehow has helped me to be more analytical in my approach to solving some of the problems in my own life, or be more rational in that regard. So yeah, it's super transferable. So as for how you should actually go about doing this, I would recommend first familiarizing yourself with many of the competitions that you can be entering. So over here, I have the UKMT website. So you can see a bunch of stuff on their website. You can go on the challenges, and then you can see all the challenges they have available. So let's say that you are in year 10 and you want to see the intermediate mathematical challenge. You can see the date it's going to be, and you can see the time, a few things, and you can see the thresholds for getting awards in previous years, marks wise, and you can see what follow-up rounds they have there. So preparing for the challenge, like you can use the online database they have. So like these are the intermediate challenge papers. So like I can go here and see the 2021 paper and just see a bunch of these like really interesting problems, especially towards the end when they get much harder. And then also to see the solutions from the problems, and like then comparing my own answers to the solutions here. And then there's an investigation, so that it gives you a chance to also investigate further, which is also really good. And then there are a few other websites linked. It says this competition is usually for people who are in year 11 or below for England, Wales and overseas. And like the senior mathematical challenge, which I sat during sixth form, yeah, so that's like year 13 or below. So like if you're in year 10, you can be sitting this, and it gives the dates as well and the entry deadline. So if you want your teachers to enter you in for this, then like you have to let them know by this deadline, or just send them a link to the page and be like, hey, can you enter me for this? And then on the day, you can just sort of show up to the school on the 10th to 11th of November and just sit the paper and then that gets sent off, gets marked, and then you can see like how well you've done. So I remember sitting the senior mathematical challenge in year 12 and year 13, which was a whole lot of fun. So I can probably remember some of the problems from like the paper I ended up sitting, like say in 2020, which yeah, does ring some bells here. Especially like the final few problems here, because I remember really getting stuck on these. But like then looking at the solutions, they just make so much more sense. And this is just a fantastic opportunity to familiarize yourself with the problems and then get started. Or we'll see some past papers that you can be attempting. And if you enjoy that process, or you're getting a kick out of it, or like you find yourself really pushing your abilities, then that's like a fantastic sign. And you should like keep trying to get high off that feeling. And now, like say for a different example, there I can search the British Physics Olympiad, which is BPHO. So on the website, you can go here, you can see the format, you can see what competitions they have available for students in different years. Like you don't necessarily have to be in year 13 to sit this competition, like you can be in other year groups. And when clicking on these, you can just like say intermediate physics challenge, just see some of the past paper solutions, which should be here somewhere, or will they definitely offer the senior physics challenge. Oh yeah, here past papers, and then you can see a bunch of these past papers, and here it is. So, and then you can just try the past papers, and then you can see like how good you're getting, and you'll find your skills slowly improving with each paper, which is like a fantastic sign. Also, on that note, if you're trying to improve your maths related skills, I think the maths ones are the easiest to improve, because you're not required to know too much content. Like for say the British Physics Olympiad, for round 1, like you're required to know quite a bit of year 13 related physics content. But like for all this UKMT challenges, for the senior challenge anyway, you're only required to know up until the end of year 11, like up until the end of GCSE. But it doesn't mean you should learn ahead. You'll just find out what you need to know as you're doing more problems. And if you find yourself unable to do one of the problems, then it just means like you have to go away and learn that material, rather than saying, oh, let me learn the whole of GCSE maths before starting this. Like, no, you can just start it now. So I would recommend getting started with whatever is in your age range currently, and then seeing how far you can take it. And if you're finding it too easy, then you should like take it further. So let's say I'm in year 10, there is the intermediate mathematical challenge. I can go and do some past papers for that. And then let's say I'm finding the past papers a little too easy. So I can go back to challenges, and then I can see like, okay, in a normal year, if I did the intermediate mathematical challenge, then the scoring is such that if I scored above 118, and then I can qualify for the McLaren Olympiad. Let me see what the McLaren Olympiad is all about. And then I can go here, find some more past papers for like the McLaren Olympiad, and then like just see this, and then just get started with these problems as well. There's like literally so many problems you can be doing on this website. And now some of the older problems, like if you find yourself enjoying the newer problems and you're just exhausted all of them, then like do buy the books and just have a go at some of the older problems, because they're like really cheap, and there's so much value for money. Like the amount you're going to be gaining from these books is fantastic, and they're worth every penny. Like spending, I don't know, £5 on a video game probably won't provide you nearly enough enjoyment, or will say like you're going to end up completing the game, or it won't really help you too much in the long run, or helping your like future life as much as like some of these problems as well. Or like it's way too easy to just spend like £5 on a bunch of candy and sweets and stuff, whereas like spending £5 or well £3 in the case of this book is just so much more beneficial. But it's understandable if you generally don't have the money, because in that case, like for some, if I go to a shop, then you can see some of these books are a little expensive, like £16 for some of the like Olympiad Primer books. I would recommend going on the pages and actually seeing who these books are targeted at, and getting a sense of like what books are worth getting. Don't buy too many books to begin with, like 2 or 3 is usually fine enough, and then just see the reader age. And so some books, especially uh, like um, like Geometry of a Triangle or like Topics in Combinatorics, which are a little more of the advanced books, they get kind of expensive. But if you generally don't have the money to buy them, um, then I would recommend asking your school and or asking your maths department at your school and just being like, hey, I really want this book. Like, can you just buy it for me? Or just asking like the library at your school if they can buy it for you, because usually they're more than happy. And if you convince them, like saying, oh, it'd be like good for my grades or good for my university application when that comes around, or it's like literally going to change my life, which in many of these cases it will change your life, the books, it's like a pretty tempting argument for them to buy for you. Now, a few of the ways to get started is I would recommend looking at problem solving related YouTube channels. So like one of them is Mind Your Decisions, which is this channel. So he has so many videos of just like interesting problems which he then presents a solution for. And in many of the cases, seeing the solutions for the problems that you've been struggling with like helps you realize that where you went wrong and just helps you to improve your skills as well. So like the only problem here is that you don't exactly know which age group these problems are targeted at. So you may find some to be really difficult, but like pick problems which you feel like you're just about able to do or just outside your comfort zone. Or, well, in this case, there is also Black Pen, Red Pen, which also does a lot of interesting problem related stuff. Maybe at a slightly higher level, but I mean, it's still fun to see. Or even looking at problems from other countries. So, like, there is the AMC, which is the American Mathematical Challenge. So, if I search AMC Math, then a bunch of stuff comes up with the competitions, and you can understand the formats of the competition, you can understand their age ranges, and then just do papers from there. Or you can go to what I have a list of problem solving bookmarks. So let's say you're at A level and you want to improve some of your A level problem solving skills. Then if you go to this link in the description, you can see I have a few lists of resources which I would recommend. So like books related to maths and physics, websites, challenges, YouTube channels, computer science. I also put some resources there. Or like go to the GCSE section and see there. If you're a GCSE student, then you can see the A-level section and just, yeah, it's a really good resources, and I may be adding more to this in the future. So do bookmark this and come back to it and see the last time I've updated it. Or if you have any suggestions, and just leave them in the comments down below for like problem solving resources, which I can add onto this list or that you just recommend for other people. Also, as another small point, I will be making a few more videos with some of my friends who've done international Olympiads and made it onto a team for the UK and a few other countries. So I'm aiming to cover every Olympiad at least. So far, I've only covered the Chemistry Olympiad, which you can find a video of with my friend here, doing well in Chemistry Olympiads, ICO silver medalist. There will be a playlist in the description which I will be slowly adding to, but I would highly recommend watching these like long form interviews with them, just to get a sense of their journey and what tips they have and how they prepared and everything like that, because that can be immensely useful if you have no idea how to get started or just seeing other people who've been through that exact journey. So I'd highly recommend watching videos about people who've done Olympiads online, watching a few of the ones that I will be releasing over this month and next month, and then just searching like international maths Olympiad and seeing what comes up, and potentially you can see like some interviews with like say the US coach or just some highlights and whatnot, which is all fun. So well, and then the final thing is like once you've sort of familiarized yourself with this and what you can be doing, like just get started doing the problems. Like the best way to improve your problem solving skills is to actually do new and challenging problems themselves. And like there's no way about it. I mean, it's useful to have a few tips in mind. So the next video, which if it's out should be linked above somewhere right now, will be about tips that I picked up like of just improving your problem solving skills. But it all still comes down to just doing more problems. The tips will all be centered around just doing more problems and how you should be approaching problems. But yeah, like just do more problems and do them consistently enough over the long run, and even doing like 30 minutes to an hour a day, if like maybe more if you want to take it a bit more seriously, or you want to aim to get on like the UK team or something, or the team for your respective country. Like just doing that is going to be immensely beneficial for like the future, the long run, and you're really going to enjoy it and really enjoy the journey and meet some incredible people along the way, and it's just going to be fantastic. So I wish I started problem solving or improved my problem solving skills much sooner, and I hope you can too. Or like you can learn from my knowledge and apply it to your own life and improve your problem solving skills. But yeah, that's basically it for now. If you have any questions about this, then I will be happy to answer them in the comments down below at some point. But I guess I'll see you later. Bye.